Welcome to Western New York Coaches. I'm Rich Jacob here with Blair Lipsitz, and we're here today to talk about For the Love of the Game. Good morning, Coach.
Good morning. Happy to be here.
Happy to be here, too. Thanks. Coach, this is a general topic, but as we both know, a very important one. When we talk about For the Love of the Game, it takes us to Little League experiences. It takes us to that 3-year-old who's out there for the first time. And, Coach, let's talk about your 3-year-old being out there the first time.
Yep, she had her first, it was soccer shots. So her first organized sport experience over the weekend. And to see her understand and learn what it was like to have a coach and a team and just even what organized sport looked like was so fun for me.
Oh, my gosh. Was it when she put the uniform on, did she go right to the mirror? Did she come out? Come on.
She went right to the ball. Awesome. And then she waved at me. She turned around and waved.
They are such fond memories. And I think even now we can remember back then when we first were part of a team, it was just amazing because we looked around and had people just like us. And then we got this uniform. It was like we were really special. So we want to preserve that joy. And that's one of the efforts here. That's certainly one of the goals here of Western New York Coaches. We're trying to help train coaches, parent coaches, aspiring coaches to understand the joy, the pure joy, and the pure, the first, or I would say the original intent for Muse, right? For participating. There are so many benefits. We all, again, understand the health benefits. We understand the social benefits. And now we're introducing young people to competition. We're introducing young people to the idea of winning and perhaps redefining winning. Coach, maybe we can talk about that beginning with the end in mind. How do we convey a definition of winning to the young people?
Yeah, and I think it's important to start from the youth perspective, and I think we'll work our way up into the higher levels, and it's an important topic, this one, because, you hear a lot about the NBA stars and all these stars on all these teams. Are they doing it for the money? Or in college, are they doing it for the scholarship? And it's important to recognize, how much of this is for the love of the game, but what does that mean exactly? And I think it starts in a youth perspective for me, because that's when they first start learning how to build their confidence. And that is like one of those things that they just keep coming back for more, is they learn something, they get really good at it, they start building confidence in themselves. And this might be one of the first times in their lives that they can see their hard work turn into something great.
Well said, Coach. And you are always a winner when you try your best. When we talk about maximum effort. And I think that, again, the message to the parent coach, the message to the youth coach is to foster this type of climate. What do we mean by climate? What do we mean by a motivational climate? Well, it's the idea that, hey, did you try your best? Yes. Then we're good. We're good from there. There's so much, so many things we could say, not to do, but we always want to emphasize and accentuate what to do. And the idea of promoting maximum effort and helping young people understand what that means and rewarding them, celebrating these small steps of, sheer effort.
Yeah. So would you say then for young coaches, should they celebrate more of a process-oriented approach to coaching? Is it something that every day that they come in, they tell the youngsters on the team, today we're going to work on dribbling, and we're going to do it all day until you get better at it, and they get better and better and better and better and better, and that is what is going to foster that climate for the love of the game, because they're going to see that?
Absolutely. Process-oriented is right on point, and it's true. This, idea of Kaizen, as we all know it, continuous improvement. That's what we celebrate. If practice last week, the ball, if it's a little leaguer and they're in baseball position with their glove and the ground ball goes right through their legs, the first week,
which happens,
yes, which definitely happens, and then the second week they get a little piece of their glove on it, and then we stop. We want to use that. Maybe we call them coachable moments, but we call them process moments. We say, we celebrate. Look what happened here last week. It went right through your legs. This week you got your glove on it. Look at that. You made a step of improvement, and it is that deliberate, I think. And we can be excited as a parent coach, and we can feel a responsibility to, hey, we have to succeed. Well, again, redefining success, redefining winning at the age-appropriate level, like you talked about, I think is important, and it takes patience and a bit of wisdom.
So would you say at this younger age, is it more important for the relationship that the player has to the coach or to their teammates?
Well, that's a tough question, right? Because
that's why I'm here.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good, and I'm saying all of the above, right? Because we're fostering cooperation. We're fostering always. Everything is always built on respect for each other. So we want to be able to help their social development by way of making sure they're okay with their friend scoring the goal. Well, yes, you know, if we're in soccer and your friend scores the goal, we have to be happy for your friend. That's part of your team. So this, again, reminding ourselves to stay age appropriate. There's only so much of a mental capacity that a 3-year-old has, or a 7-year-old has, or a 17-year-old has, right? They're all different levels. They all fall in these varying theories of human development. So, again, not expecting a parent coach to understand all 7 theories of human development, but as an organization here at Western New York Coaches, we want to provide the resources and be there as a resource for them to understand at least the basics of development and the importance and what, and you said starting from a youth perspective, getting ourselves as an adult to see it from the eyes of a 3-year-old or a 7-year-old is near impossible. Right. So we have that dynamic. We have to be there to listen to what's being said, what's being asked, or what's not being said. Right. Actions also speak loudly, but to foster this sense of full participation, and everyone is just as important as the next person. Like even talking about gender, Coach, we say, well, do males or females develop more quickly physically? I think it's individual, not just gender related.
Physically, emotionally, right?
Yeah, and those kinds of things are part of this youth sport experience. So it happens maybe that Johnny isn't running as fast or maybe not as coordinated yet as a teammate, but that doesn't mean that teammate who may have more skills in that moment is any more important. So again, backing into the fostering of that climate, that has to be conveyed. And we ask the coach, just like we ask the players, to try their best to convey that sense that everybody is equal. Everybody is equal, and it's okay. It's okay. Where you are is okay, because where you are is very real.
Yeah, I think it's hard not to have favorites, right? I remember a coach telling me the coach's favorite's always the one that works the hardest in the gym. But at a young youth perspective, at that age, everybody's got to have equal footing, and it's got to be about the team, right? And I think one of the big things that you spoke to was nonverbal cues and how important those are for coaches at a young age, because you're never going to say anything. Of course, no coach is going to yell at a 3-year-old. I certainly hope not, right? But there may be nonverbal cues that are happening and that they are picking up on 100% of the time. They're seeing, whatever the excitement that you're showing or the disappointment that you're showing or whatever it is. So that's something for young coaches to definitely be mindful of.
Yes. And we talk about the agenda or the practice plan. We have to be careful that we take small incremental steps in this development. So some of the practice we could work on one particular skill or one particular fundamental, and the other might be water balloons, right? For that same block of time. And again, how much time is enough for a practice, or are we able to give them homework? It's nice to give them a little exciting homework. Right, so we
go play with their parents or their brothers or sisters or friends. Yeah, that's great.
And have that have them lock into, okay, I know what I learned. What did you learn today? Right, that's a lot of the parents, right? Well, how did practice go? What did you learn? Well, maybe one thing at a time is okay.
And okay. Show me what you learned.
Right.
Oh my gosh, especially at the youth level, they want to show you. This is what I learned today. This is how I did it.
Well, and Coach, as you said, now we move right into high school, college, or even at the professional level. It doesn't change.
That I was just going to say that exact same thing. It's, one of my first years coaching at a collegiate level, we were growth mindset, process oriented the whole way.
Talk a little bit about that growth mindset, Coach, please.
Yeah, in the very beginning, when you're trying to create a culture in a gym, and that was something that was really important for us, for our staff, because to me, any staff it's a head coach, there are assistant coaches, there are so many people that help these young athletes. They're all a team within themselves, and that mindset needs to be the exact same all throughout, right? So everybody's got to be on board from when you take the laundry in to get the laundry done to when they put their jerseys on that next day. I mean, every single piece of the puzzle has to fit in. And for us, the growth mindset in our practice, every single day, we harped on the same things all day long. And they probably got so sick of hearing it. But after a while, I think they really felt and saw themselves get so much stronger. And once you get that one little taste of that, that's all you need, right? Yes. You just need that one little piece where you said, it clicks. It
validation,
worked.
Right? It's validated.
Yes, exactly. And once we had one of those, I think everybody bought in at the same time, and not just the athletes, but the coaches and our strength staff. And, everybody said, oh, it's starting to work.
Well, thank you, Coach. And, each time we're together, I'm reminded of your storied career, and I know you're humble, but let's ask you to talk a little bit about your experience growing up. We're talking to Coach Blair Lipsitz, who is a 4-time NCAA champion for Penn State volleyball, who is a Big Ten Player of the Year, who is a professional athlete and a Division I coach. So, Coach, talk a little bit about your upbringing. I know that you're as you say, a coach's kid. So,
I'm a coach's kid. Yeah.
So please share.
Yeah, my dad, he coached Little League for 30 plus years. He started with my brother when he was young and worked his way all the way up. He coached Upper Loudoun youth football as well, and I was very upset that he would not let me play football. I only got to do the pump, pass, and kick. But yeah, I was always on a field. We were at baseball games. We were always somewhere. We were always playing something. And so that was my upbringing. I think this is something that's really big right now in the youth sport world, but letting kids play all the sports, let them get really good at different things. Volleyball became my sport of choice, but I didn't start playing until I was in high school. And I know a lot of people like that. So I'm glad I didn't. I would have stuck with softball, and that's a very big strike zone for a 6'5" person. So I'm glad we got to play a bunch of different stuff.
Well, that's wonderful, and certainly the climate at home had to be wonderful. I'm sure it was wonderful and
competitive.
Yeah,
but very balanced. My mom is a saint.
Awesome, and she'll like to hear this. hear this from you, of course, more than once, more than twice. I'm sure you've already let her know that. So let's talk about the college athlete for a few minutes and the love of the game.
Right.
So I guess I should back up a little bit and say we read in our research and we have reports too many times that student athletes that hit 13 and 14 years old are losing interest, are walking away from competition because perhaps of the overemphasis on being competitive.
Yeah.
And this idea of elite and travel and national competitions, which are all good.
Right.
Of course, we understand that they're all good. But how many of the young people are we losing who had that pure joy and love of the game until it was a little bit tainted by the adults in the world?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's being a multi-sport athlete is maybe something that saves a lot of young people because they have the reprieve of doing something else, and doing something, an individual sport or a team sport if your big sport is an individual sport. And just being able to be around different people and not have that pressure that you have in your first sport, I think is a really good thing for young people to have. When people are 10 years old and they're like, all right, now I have to stick with this one sport for the rest of my life, I think maybe you're doing them a disservice by not letting them try new things and be a more well-rounded athlete in the end.
Well said, Coach. Now, we're at the college level, and we have a despondent young person kind of losing their spirit, maybe not performing as well as they hope, maybe not, maybe not a starter where
Right.
they would really want to be, and you can see the spirit lagging. And now we bring in the psychological aspect. We bring in sport counseling as we know it. Talk a little bit about a coach's intervention and how we might handle a situation like that.
Yeah, so I see two different ways. The first thing that came to mind immediately was, I don't know if anybody else watched this, but I've got to find this and put it up on our website. It is Annie Drews. She plays volleyball she was on the Olympic team this year. The starter, and she was, a lights out starter. The right side goes down with an injury in the Olympics.
Right.
And Annie Drews comes in, crushes it, does a great job. The women go on to win, right? After that match, they interviewed Annie Drews, and she said something that was so perfect about how her coaching staff discussed with her role on this team and what that looked like. And they talked about it a lot, to the point where she was so comfortable that she knew exactly where she was within that team, within the dynamic.
Right.
And she knew that her job was to come on the court and do her best and bring everything she's got to that moment. And she did that over and over and over again and had to step up in some really big ways on their way to gold. So that, to me, the communication, the over communication from coaching staff on role, whatever your role is on the team, is huge. But my other question is, do you need a love of the game to play at an elite high level, or are there different factors that make certain people tick? I would say maybe the love of the game isn't what pushed me in volleyball. I like to win. So, maybe that player, you have to have a conversation and find, what is it that's bringing them back day after day? If it's not this game, do they like to win? Do they like to learn? Do they like to, and then find a spark or a catalyst there?
That's very interesting. So you're talking about, for example, a task orientation versus a relationship orientation, right? Why do teams, some teams are so close together? Why do they reach this level of cohesion? And the answer can vary.
Right. When maybe they shouldn't win, but they keep winning. Everybody's been on a team like that, right?
That's right.
You think everybody tells it they're the misfits, they're not going to win anything, and they go on to win the whole thing.
Right.
That exists.
It absolutely exists.
Yeah.
And I think you make an excellent point when you talk about the reasons people stay in, and the reasons people push forward. And somewhere in there, right? There's a level of joy wherever it might come from.
Yes.
Again, victory and the winning. We don't stand here and pretend that it's not important,
right,
and that it isn't an amazing achievement.
But that's not everybody's factor.
That's
not
right.
everybody's driving force, right? And that's an important thing to note.
It is an important thing to note. And I think that when we, even looking at Dr. Albert Karen and his work in team cohesion, he talks a lot about role clarification,
yes,
as you talked about. And he also, this quest for gestalt that we've talked about, where, the whole is greater than the sum of its parts, right? We learn very early in life, 2 + 2 = 4. Well, when a team reaches gestalt, the whole is greater than the sum of its parts, and we are always stronger together than we can be as a group of individuals. So that's also a part of building on the role clarification. But I think, again, to reemphasize what you said, for a coach to be able to communicate the best they can in that moment, right? Here we are in the beginning of the season, and this is where I see your role. Now, that role may change.
And you have the ability to change it, right?
That's right. You as the player, and then the coach as with the wisdom to recognize and, push.
Right.
Right. Shepherd that player to make
I
that
also
change.
think when you really talk about the team constantly, and that is on the forefront of your mind, and that's what you're thinking about, a lot of times there's no time for anything else, right?
Yeah.
If you're thinking about the team, what does the team need? How can I help the team? What can I do in this moment? Then you're not thinking about, oh, how did she miss that? Or how did he do that? Or you're only thinking, you don't have that much time in between points or in between this or that. You're really, if you're focused on the team, that's a great way to just kind of make everything less selfish.
Very good. And it goes back to what you were saying, repetition, right?
Yeah, right.
Repetition is the mother of learning. It has been said. And if we are consistently conveying the positive, accentuating what we want to be done, as opposed to, don't do this or you didn't do that, we stay with the positive approach. And again, as you said, with consistency, then that becomes transformative.
Absolutely.
It's good. Well, Coach, I think that we've had a great conversation today, and maybe we leave it here and get ready for our next time together. I want to thank speaking of team, thank our production assistants. Dr. Julie Hines led the charge to help us create this moment. So we thank, and speaking of becoming a team, we're happy to be part of this team. Thank you very much.
Thank you.